It had been 37 years since anyone knocked on my door. Every morning, I woke up to silence, the kind of silence that eats at you, heavy and permanent. The same sun angled through the blinds. The same taste of dust in the air. The same ticking of the old wall clock, which had long since stopped keeping time. But today, at dawn, the door shook. 3 heavy knocks. Slow. Deliberate. I sat up in bed, heart pounding. My throat went dry. For years I had prayed for change, begged for something, anything, to prove I wasn't insane. But now that it was here, dread curled in my stomach. The knocks came again. I moved slowly, sliding out of bed. My feet touched the cold wooden floorboards, boards I had memorized every creak of after reliving them for decades. But this morning, one of them groaned differently. Lower. Splintered. Wrong. The door loomed ahead of me, paint peeling after years of repetition. My hand trembled as I reached for the knob. For a moment, I hesitated. What if opening it reset everything again? What if it erased the only change I'd been given? The third set of knocks rattled the frame, harder this time. I twisted the knob. The door swung open with a groan, and for the first time in 37 years, I was not staring at the same quiet suburban street. Instead, darkness stretched before me. Not night, not exactly. The sky was a strange, colorless void, as though someone had drained the world of light. Buildings sagged like corpses, windows shattered, cars left abandoned and half sunk in overgrowth that pulsed faintly, almost like breathing. And standing in front of me was a man. He wore a suit, though it was torn and stained. His face was gaunt, his eyes sunk deep, but the strangest thing was his smile. Wide. Crooked. Like he knew me. "Good morning," he rasped. His voice sounded like it hadn't been used in years. "It's finally tomorrow." My blood turned to ice. I swallowed hard. "Who are you?" The man tilted his head. "I've been waiting for you to wake up. Took you long enough." He leaned closer, eyes glittering with something sharp. 37 years long enough. I staggered back. "How do you know that?" He chuckled, the sound dry and broken. "Because I put you here." The world outside shifted then, like a curtain rippling. The trees in the distance bent unnaturally, their branches twitching like fingers. A low hum filled the air, vibrating in my teeth. I tried to slam the door, but his hand shot out, stopping it effortlessly. His grip was cold, unnaturally cold. "You don't understand yet," he whispered, leaning close enough for me to see that his pupils weren't round. They were square, like pixels. "You were part of it. The experiment. And now." His lips curled upward. "Now it's broken." Behind him, the void sky cracked, literally cracked, as if the heavens themselves were glass. A jagged fissure of white light split through, and with it came a sound like 1,000 voices screaming all at once. I stumbled back, covering my ears, but the sound drilled into my skull. The man didn't flinch. He just stood there, smiling, as if he'd been waiting for this moment his whole life. "Welcome to the end," he said. And then the ground outside the door collapsed. It didn't fall away like dirt or stone, it fractured like glass, breaking into shards that floated weightless in the void. The street I had known for decades, the lawns, the mailbox at the corner, they all shattered into pieces of reality drifting in black nothingness. The man in the suit didn't move. He simply turned his head toward the abyss, as if admiring a painting. "It's unraveling faster than I expected," he murmured. "Good. That means you don't have much time." The noise of splitting earth was deafening. My chest heaved with panic, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from the impossible scene. Fragments of my world spun slowly, like broken photographs scattered in space. One shard drifted close enough for me to see. It was my living room, still intact, the couch frozen mid-moment. Another shard carried the old oak tree in my backyard, suspended like an artifact. I stumbled backward, clutching the doorframe. What the hell is happening? The man turned his gaze on me. His square pupils glowed faintly. "The program's degrading. You were never meant to stay in one cycle this long." "Program?" I spat the word. "What program?" He smirked. "The one that kept you safe. The one that kept you from seeing this." He gestured at the collapsing world with a casual wave of his hand. "A simulated loop. A controlled day. A cage." My head spun. 37 years of reliving June 14th, 37 years of the same sun, same people aging, same routine. I had thought it was fate, a curse, maybe insanity. But this man was saying it was artificial. Manufactured. I shook my head violently. "You're lying." "Am I?" He reached into his jacket and pulled out something small, a keycard, cracked and bloodstained. He tossed it at my feet. "That's yours." Recognition code burned right into it. "You volunteered." I bent to pick it up. My hands trembled as my eyes traced the faded print. It was my name. My photo, decades younger. My signature scrawled along the bottom. My throat tightened. I couldn't breathe. "You see," he whispered. "You chose this. But something went wrong. You were supposed to wake years ago." His smile widened unnaturally. "We thought you were dead. Turns out, you just refused." The ground outside shattered further. Whole blocks were vanishing, consumed by the void. The horizon bent inwards, folding like paper. I staggered back inside, clutching the keycard, but he followed me in. His shoes didn't even scuff the floor. He moved too smoothly, too deliberately. "What do you want from me?" I demanded. His eyes narrowed. "Not want. Need. You're the last failsafe. The last living remnant of the project." He leaned in close, his breath cold against my face. "If you don't remember who you are, none of us are leaving." "Leaving where?" He didn't answer. Instead, the house groaned around us. The ceiling bulged downward as if under invisible weight. The clock on the wall spun wildly, its hands twisting in every direction. And then, voices. They came from the walls, the floor, the air itself. Whispering, muttering, thousands of overlapping tones. My own name echoed in 100 variations. The man didn't flinch. "They're here," he said simply. "Who's here?" He looked at me with something between pity and cruelty. "The ones who built your day. And they're very angry you've broken it." The walls cracked, splitting open like rotten wood. From within, long pale fingers pushed through, too many fingers, jointed wrong, stretching far too long to belong to anything human. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over the table. My stomach churned. The man only smiled. "Don't run. They'll find you anyway. Better to face what you are." The fingers groped wider, pulling at the cracks until shapes began to crawl through. Twisted figures, blurred like corrupted film, faces half-formed and glitching in and out of focus. Their voices blended into static. One of them whispered, so close to my ear it felt real, "Wake up." The man's hand clamped onto my shoulder. "This is your last chance. Remember, or we all dissolve with the program." I stared at the keycard in my hand, my face smiling up at me from 37 years ago. My chest tightened. A flash seared through my mind, needles, bright lights, voices counting backwards. And then the memory hit me. I remembered signing the papers. I remembered stepping into the machine. I remembered agreeing to live the same day, over and over, until the world outside was safe again. But the world outside was gone. But the world outside was gone. That was the first truth that cut through the fog of 37 years. I had gone into the machine, into the loop, under the promise of preservation. A shield from whatever catastrophe had been coming. A way to wait it out until it was safe to return. But now, staring at the ruins collapsing beyond my door, I realized there had never been a return. The figures forced themselves further through the walls. Their faces flickered, sometimes strangers, sometimes people I knew, sometimes me. A distorted copy of my smile stretched too wide, my own eyes blinking out of sync. I clutched the keycard tighter. "What did you do to me?" I asked the man. My voice cracked. He didn't blink. "We saved you. Out of hundreds, you were the one who lasted. 37 years of stability." His lips curled. "But every system fails eventually." The ground trembled. The ceiling split open. Above us was no sky, only rows of glowing lights, endless machinery stretching into darkness, as if the house had peeled away to reveal the belly of some colossal machine. The whispers grew louder, pounding against my skull. They were no longer words, but demands. Wake. End. Reset. Break. I dropped to my knees, clutching my head. Images burst into my mind, memories, fractured and violent. White rooms. Strapped wrists. Doctors murmuring. Screens filled with data. My own voice, agreeing to the terms, one day, over and over. Until the world is ready again. But the world had moved on without me. Or maybe it hadn't. Maybe this was all that was left. "Why show me this now?" I gasped. The man crouched, his strange eyes glinting. "Because the system is falling apart. Without you, it collapses completely. And when it collapses, so do we." The distorted figures lunged forward, their fingers reaching, their forms glitching in and out of solidity. One brushed against my arm, an agony seared through me, my skin fuzzed like static, edges dissolving. "Stop!" I screamed. The man's voice cut through the chaos. "You have two choices. Re-enter the loop. Close your eyes and live June 14th again. Hold it together a little longer." His smile widened, sharp. Or. He gestured toward the shattered doorway, where the void yawned wider, pulling at everything like a hungry mouth. "Step outside. And face what's left of the world." My chest heaved. The keycard dug into my palm. The whispers slammed into my ears. "Wake up, wake up, wake up." I looked at him. At the figures. At the ruin beyond. And for the first time in 37 years, I made a new choice. I hurled the keycard into the void. The moment it left my hand, the figures shrieked, their bodies unraveling like smoke. The walls disintegrated into fragments of light. The man's grin faltered for the first time. "What have you done?" he hissed. "I'm done living the same day," I whispered. The void surged, swallowing the last of the house. The man reached for me, his fingers stretching unnaturally long, but his hand shattered into pixels before it touched me. And then, silence. I was falling. Weightless. No ground. No sky. Just endless black swallowing everything I had ever known. But as I fell, something new happened. A sun rose. Not June 14th's sun, not the same pale light I had known for decades. This was different. Hotter. Realer. It seared my face, and for the first time in 37 years, I felt the sting of heat. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on cracked concrete. The air smelled of ash. Towers leaned half-toppled. The sky was bruised with fire. And in the distance, a sound echoed a human voice. Hoarse, desperate, but alive. I staggered to my feet, weak but trembling with something I hadn't felt in decades. Hope. It was finally tomorrow.